Hi guys, today we'll be working on writing quadratic equations in Vertex form. This is objective 4.3 for us. So far we've been writing all of our quadratics in standard form, or using standard form for all of our operations. Today we're going to work on writing from standard form into Vertex form. And this is going to be useful because next week when we start graphing these, Vertex form is going to be a whole lot faster to graph in the standard form where we find our roots and then we find our vertex and all that business like we've been doing so far. So to write things in vertex form, we need a couple things. We need an A, we need an H, and a K. So our A, pretty easy to start off with. Both standard form and vertex form have an A, and that's not a coincidence. That A is the same in both of them. So we're just going to use that A. So when we need it, we'll just write that A right there. Our H and our K is just going to be a point, and that's what's called the vertex. So this is why it's called vertex form, is because HK, that point, is the vertex. So we've been working with standard form. We have found the vertex before. We have the formula negative b over 2a is going to give us the x part of that vertex, and then once we have the x part of the vertex, we can go back and plug that number into each of the x spots up here, and then we can simplify our original formula, and we'll get that y part. So I'm going to write that using function notation, where we just take that function, we substitute in that negative b over 2a, and we get that y part. So again, we need an A, an H, and a K. We're going to get our A from this A, so this is going to be the exact same in both of them. We're just going to write it in that spot. The X is going to come from the vertex formula, which is going to give us our H, and that Y, which is our K in this vertex form, is going to come from plugging that X back in and going through and doing it. Okay, if you want to pause it for a moment to make sure you have all the notes so far, I think that's a good idea. Right now, I'm going to go ahead and work on the second our example up here. Okay, so we have our example, our quadratic, because we've got a degree of 2. We have it in standard form already. We've got A is 3, B is negative 18, and C is 25. So to use the vertex formula, I need A and B. So I'm just going to go ahead and say that X is equal to negative B over 2A. And this is an A down here. I know it's kind of small. I'll try to make it bigger as I go along. Which is equal to negative 18 for B divided by 2 times 3 for A. When we simplify, negative 18 is going to give us positive 18 divided by 2 times 3 is going to give us 6. We can simplify again because we know that 18 divided by 6 is 3. Yes, absolutely. Okay, so now that we have the x part of our vertex, which is the h part of our vertex form, we need to find the y part. Again, we do that by taking whatever number we got for our x, substituting it into our formula, our function, for the x, and then when we simplify everything, we'll get the y, which will give us the k, and then we can write everything in vertex form. So I said x is equal to 3. So write down my original equation, except instead of writing x, I'm going to write 3. And again, instead of writing x, I'm going to write 3. Okay, so we've got 3 times 3 squared minus 18 times 3 plus 25. We're going to use the order of operations to simplify on this side. So these parentheses are here so we can do multiplication and exponents and multiplication. So really, they're just kind of placeholders. So we're going to do the exponents first. 3 squared is 3 times 3, which is going to give us 9. Just copy everything else down. Didn't do anything to it, so don't change it. 3 times 9 is going to give us 27. 18 times 3, let's use a calculator. Oh, 54. I should have known that. Plus 25. And now all we have is some addition and subtraction, so we're going to add them or subtract them together. So 27 minus 54 plus 25 is going to give us negative 2. So we have our A, we have the H, and we have the K. So A is going to be 3. Our h is going to be 3 as well, and our k is going to be -2. So to write it in this form, I'm just going to copy this form down. Y equals a parentheses x minus h squared plus k. And then we're going to say that y equals a is 3. Keep the x, just like we kept the x over here, the x, minus from the formula 3, close parentheses and squared, just like that formula has, plus our k, which is -2. We've got a little simplification to do over here. We don't like a positive and a negative. So I'm going to say y equals 3, parentheses x minus 3, squared, minus 2. And this is the same quadratic that we started with, just written in a different form. Alright guys, if you know what you're doing, go ahead and get started in your practice. Otherwise, I'll work this again in a couple minutes with the class.